Dreams in One Piece have always been the backbone of any given character. What their goals, ambitions, and beliefs are determine how they act within the story and their interactions with other characters. For example, Luffy's dream is to be king of the pirates, and anytime anyone asks him who he is, he tells them exactly that. Or Big Mom, whose dream is to gather all the races and species of the world into one place. As seen with her interactions with Brooke and Frankie, if she encounters a special creature, she will attempt to capture them, no questions asked. How big or impossible your dream is, and how hard you fight for it, is a key factor in one's strength in the show. When we look at some of the strongest people in the show, their great and impossible dreams reflect their strength. Rox D. Tebek led multiple Conqueror's users in Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard. He was called the world's greatest taboo, as he was very curious about the things the world government had hidden, and he actively and openly attacked the world government and its allies. His dream was to become king of the world, leading to his seemingly immense strength and hockey. Goldie Roger is another example. Whether he was sprinting into battle, drinking with his crew, or even being executed, Roger has always been seen with a great smile on his face. He was stated to be a rival to Garp, who we've seen level an island with one punch. Garp also stated that Roger was fearless and would never run away from an enemy. He also said that Roger could have a short temper, retaliating when something as small as an insult was thrown his way. However, this man dreamed of being the first crew, since Joy Boy, to travel around the entire world. When he reached Lodestar, the seemingly final island, Roger was already sick with an incurable disease. There, he learned that there was another island, a final island, a secret island hidden from the rest of the world. Despite his limited life, he persevered unafraid, and that blind determination earned him the title of the King of the Pirates, and he found and named the last island Laugh Tale. Now, after talking about them both, what do these two men have in common? Their seemingly impossible dreams and the titles they both tried to claim led them to taking the world by storm. In this way, I feel that Luffy mirrors the both of them. While his larger dream has yet to be revealed, Luffy's dream he stated for the entirety of the show is to find the One Piece and become king of the pirates. First of all, Luffy stated himself that he does not know and does not want to know if the One Piece even exists, meaning he is after something that could be potentially impossible. However, while he doesn't care about status, he does want the title of the King of the Pirates. I believe that this dream can be broken down into two parts: the pursuit of belief and the pursuit of truth. Luffy doesn't know if the One Piece exists for sure, but is willing to die for it and put his life on the line for it. However, he does know that there was a man once called the King of the Pirates, and he believes that he can become the next one. The same can be said about the previous two men I mentioned. Rox probably thought that with enough manpower and strength that he could become king of the world. However, he didn't know what was underneath the surface of the world government and what they were hiding, but actively sought it out anyway. Roger, on the other hand, knew that he could travel the world with enough time and energy. However, once he made it to Lodestar and discovered that there was another island, he had no idea where it was, how to find it, or if he was even going to live to see it. But he did it anyway. These two aspects of dreams carry their way to other characters in the series. For example, some dreams based on the pursuit of truth would include Anami's dream of wanting to draw a map of the world. She knows that she can, she just has to see the world. Frankie wanting to build a ship that can make it around the entire world. He knows he can, but they just have to make it there. Kobe wanting to become a admiral in the Marines. He knows that he can. He has seen admirals in the Navy. He knows it's possible, but he just has to work hard to get there. Some examples of dreams based on the pursuit of belief, I believe, would include Usopp's dream, as he wants to become a brave warrior of the sea, but does not know if he can actually do that. Kaido, who wants to be beaten by or become Joy Boy, not knowing if that's even possible. Or even Kuma, who wanted to become a hero like the legendary sun god Nika, but as a young slave, he could not see any possibility of that happening. Now, I know that all of you who clicked on this video saw the thumbnail. How does any of this relate to Sanji being a conqueror in the future? Well, I used Luffy as the main example for belief and truth because I think Oda was trying to show us something about this all the way back in Piratier. During this arc, we see the wings of the Pirate Kings. Zoro and Sanji both state their dreams. Zoro wants to become the world's greatest swordsman, while Sanji dreams of the all-blue sea, a sea where fish from all the blues swim together. While at the Piratier, Zoro is confronted by his dream, Dracule Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. His goal is right in front of him, he can see it. Zoro's dream in this way represents truth, as he knows who the greatest swordsman is, and he knows that he has to beat Mihawk to obtain the title, but just has to work hard to get there, similar to Kobe's dream. Sanji, on the other hand, has been ridiculed for his dream since day one. As a kid, he asked the chefs on the ship that he was on about the All Blue, and they all laughed at him and told him it didn't exist. As an adult, he glows with excitement when asking Luffy about the All Blue, but even he says that he's never heard of anything like that. Sanji's dream represents the belief side of One Piece dreams. Despite being told it doesn't exist and honestly having no proof that it even does, Sanji sets off with Luffy in hopes of finding this legendary ocean one day. From the beginning, Sanji and Zoro have been shown as two sides of the same coin, with Luffy's dream combining the aspects of both. Now that we've gone over the relationship of the dreams amongst the monster trio, I want to go over some examples of how Sanji has always followed his dreams and ambitions no matter the cost. Now, while Oda hasn't specifically given us moments of Sanji defending or fighting for his dream of the All Blue, he has given us many examples of him standing up for what he believes in no matter what. Sanji has never shied away from showing the audience and his crew that he will not hit a woman, period. The first time that this is truly challenged is in Water 7, when he finds himself in a face-off with Khalifa, a strong female devil fruit user and CP9 agent. Throughout the fight, Sanji proves that he is the superior fighter, but cannot land an actual hit due to his code. Due to this, Khalifa defeats him. Even though he is beaten on the ground badly, he shouts out that even if it kills him, he will not hit a woman. His chivalry is put to the test again when he gets captured by Black Maria in Wano. He's beaten badly by her due to him being unable to fight back. This ultimately causes him to yell for Robin to come and help, but we'll talk about this later. This is shown one final time in Dressrosa. Viola tricks Sanji into thinking that she is just an innocent girl, but she actually works for Doflamingo, causing Sanji to be put in a situation where he can't act. However, because Viola cried to Sanji earlier, he tells her that he will never doubt a woman's tears, and he knows that she isn't doing this because she wants to, which once again works out for him, but we can talk about that later as well. All of these examples show that Sanji is a man who stays true to himself, unwilling to compromise on his beliefs, showing his code is more important to him than his own life. Additionally, Sanji has had two defining moments that he talks about two of his other dreams. One of which in Thriller Bark, when it is revealed that Absalom has eaten the Clair fruit, Sanji announces his dream of obtaining that fruit and using it to peep in the women's bath, and that Absalom has now rendered that dream impossible. And not only that, but he disrespected Anami, which Sanji is never okay with, and that was enough to set him ablaze with anger, causing him to start a fight. However, once he gets the Germa suit post Whole Cake Island from his brother Niji, coincidentally, the suit gifts Sanji the power of invisibility. And what does he immediately go and do with that? exactly what he said that he was going to do. That is a man of true ambition right there. In a similar vein, in Fishman Island, he had already lost a lot of blood and was on the brink when suddenly he hears someone say, "Princess." He asks Chopper if the mermaid princess is really behind him, to which Chopper answers yes. Sanji then stands tall and tells Chopper that he could ignore his dreams and live a long life, but instead, he'd rather reach for the stars. He even says, quote, "I choose to die." Like, that dude is not afraid. Even something like his hatred for Germa, he never gives in on. Remember when I said that the Germa suit gave him a power that he had always dreamed of? Well, when he wore it, the suit reacted with his body, activating the previously failed technology inside of him. When he realizes this, he destroys the suit, and even asks Zoro to kill him if he ever starts to become an emotionless cyborg like his brothers. In every situation I've described so far, Sanji has put his life on the line, choosing to stand up for the things that he believes in. And doesn't that sound like another character that we know very well? Luffy. In every arc, Luffy announces his goal and what he's going to do. And he always strives with everything in his power to achieve that goal. Sanji is extremely similar to Luffy in this way. However, instead of having a new goal in every arc, he sticks to his goals and ambitions that he has set in his life from day one, refusing to ever give to anyone on those beliefs. And honestly, I think that Luffy knows this, because when they first met at Paratier, Jin has a gun pointed at Zeph's head, and Sanji tells him to raise his gun and point it at him. To which Luffy responds, "What are you saying? You're going to die." And Sanji answers, "Whatever, I don't care." When it comes to his beliefs and the things that he strives to do, he never backs down. And like I said earlier with Luffy knowing this, in Whole Cake Island, when Sanji was crying and he was like, "I want to go back to the Sunny, but I still want to save the family that I hate," Luffy said, "It's because you're a good person. That's who you are." And just while we're on this topic of Luffy realizing who Sanji is as a person, in the Paratier, in that exact same moment, Pearl comes up and blitzes Sanji, saying that if he fights back, that Jin will pull the trigger. To which Sanji stands up and proudly proclaims that he will take this beating to repay his debt and protect Zeph's dream. I think that this moment perfectly mirrors something that Luffy has also done in the past. When he was a kid, the Blue Gem pirates captured him in order to obtain information about Ace and Sabo's treasure, something that those two kids also referred to as their dream. Luffy remained silent, took the beating, and protected his friend's dreams, just like Sanji did. Even the Shirahoshi moment, as funny as it is, and as much of a gag as it is, he outright said that he chooses to die for his dream. Is that not similar to when Luffy was on the ground in Marineford, begging Ivankov to give him some kind of treatment so he could get up and keep fighting to save Ace? Ivankov told Luffy to the face that he was going to die, and Luffy said, "I do not care as long as I can save my brother." It's these parallels in the characters that they always go above and beyond for what they're trying to do, for what they believe in, that truly makes me believe that Sanji will become a conqueror. Even Sanji and Zoro have so many moments where they're working together or acting like two sides of the same coin, as I stated previously. In Water 7, while Zoro did give the speech to the crew, Sanji was the first to step in and stop Luffy from saying something that he would regret. Additionally, in the same arc, on the sea train, Zoro tells Luffy to tell Sanji to stop, because he doesn't know what could come ahead. But Luffy turns to Zoro and asks him, if it was him, would he stop? to which Zoro was speechless, showing that him and Sanji both have the same drive to protect their crewmates with their lives. Speaking of Zoro, he is often credited the most loyal member of the crew, which I would agree with. However, when we look at Sanji, I believe that he is the most protective on the crew. As previously mentioned, he protected Zeph's dream in the Paratie. He starts fighting Jabra in order to protect Usopp. He swoops in to fight Doflamingo when he attacks the Sunny, continues to protect the crew from the Big Mom pirates later on, then goes on to hold off the Beast pirates at Zoe. He zoomed in to protect Tashigi when he heard her tears fall against Fergo. And most of all, he gave himself up in order to protect his entire crew and Zeph when Beige came and took him to Whole Cake Island. Now, I've been comparing Sanji to Luffy and Zoro because those are the Conquerors that are also on his crew, and I believe that Oda has been showing them three together as the monster trio, showing that they will all three awaken Conqueror's haki at some point. However, I do want to compare Sanji's actions to other Conquerors, but before we do that, I feel like we should touch on Sanji's original backstory first. As stated previously, the chefs aboard the Orbit cooking vessel laughed at Sanji when he mentioned the All Blue, saying they too would risk their lives to find it if it actually existed, but it's impossible and made up. Soon after, their vessel is attacked by pirates, of which are captained by Red Shoes Sif. Upon seeing the pirates, Sanji immediately thinks to himself, "I'm not letting these guys kill me." Grabs a pair of kitchen knives and rushes out to the much stronger, much more experienced pirate crew. Zeph's crew attempts to talk him down, but Sanji attacks them and yells that if they are going to kill him, that he's going to kill them first. Zeph immediately kicks him in the stomach, launching him into some crates. Heavily injured, Sanji grabs onto Zeph's leg, biting him, and announces to everyone that someday he's going to find the All Blue Sea. The entire pirate crew laughs at him, and even the chefs that he was with are embarrassed by him. But Zeph hesitates a bit before kicking him to the edge of the ship. Sanji, laying there arms sprawled out, unable to move, screams out to all that he's not going to be killed in a place like this by these pirates. The waves then sweep up and take Sanji off of the ship and into the water, but for some reason, Zeph dives in to save him. The two wash up on shore on a small elevated island. Zeph splits the food he was able to salvage with Sanji and tells him to keep watch on the other side of the island for a passing ship. Sanji is determined to survive on his own, but runs out of food on the 25th day of being stuck there. He ends up being there for 45 more days without food, drinking absolutely nothing but a bit of rainwater. Hopefully, we all know the rest of the story. He goes over and tries to steal Zeph's food. It's revealed that Zeph gave all of the food to Sanji, and Zeph survived only by eating his own leg. And he did all of this just because Sanji and him shared the same dream. The two bond over the dream of the All Blue, and 15 more days pass, making it 85 days total, 60 total days without food at all. They are finally rescued by a passing ship. This backstory is alone why I think that Sanji is a conqueror. Not only as just a child did he stand up to the pirates who were attempting to rob his ship, but he also screamed out to all of them his dream and that he was not going to be killed here. He then went on to survive 60 full days without any food at all. The first 25 he had food, but those last 60 he had nothing. Compared to Luffy in Whole Cake Island, who barely went a full day without food and was looking like he was about to die, Sanji as a child is insane. Like, the level of will to do that is insane. Not to mention that a moment of Sanji sprawled out on the ship with his arms unable to move, shouting that he's not going to be killed by them, is very, very similar to a moment that we get from another conqueror in Doflamingo. When Doflamingo is tied up by the people who viewed them as just evil celestial dragons, he screams to all of them in a similar pose to Sanji with his arms spread out that he is not going to die here, that he will kill them instead. That's just like what Sanji said. And Doflamingo is a future conqueror. And we like to come at Sanji for his love of women and having hard eyes all the time. But if we look at other conquerors, that's similar in them as well. Boa Hancock has an immense love for Luffy and will do anything it takes to please him and earn the right to marry him. But she's a conqueror as well. Why do we diminish Sanji for his love and his passion, but not Boa? And I'm not trying to shade Boa by any means, but as far as we know, she didn't even have a dream before Luffy came along. And I think that word that I just used is the perfect word to describe Sanji. Passion. He's passionate about everything he believes in, about protecting his crew, and just in his everyday life. Everything he does, he carries himself with passion. We always see Sanji like ignite in flames when he gets angry because he's so passionate about the things he's angry about. But whenever he gets the chance, he's fully in everything he's doing, not backing down, not giving in, just fully passionate about what he's doing and what he believes. And anytime he does this, it works out for him and benefits the crew. I mentioned that we would talk about Robin later because of the Black Maria situation. Well, in that situation, Sanji calls out for help, and what seems like a moment of weakness for him is, in reality, he's enabling a person on his crew to take a stand. And Robin even gives him words of admiration afterwards and says, "Thank you for believing in me." In the Khalifa situation, he falls down, but even Nami acknowledges that she's impressed with his chivalry. In the Viola situation, Viola turns into an ally and shares the plan that Doflamingo has with Sanji, so Sanji's able to help the rest of the crew. In Whole Cake Island, when he's tricked by Pudding and Big Mom, forgives Pudding, and she ends up becoming an ally that also helps with the overall plot of the arc. So, as we bring this video to a close, I want to go back to Zeph's speech in Paratie, when he talks about Luffy being a fearless man. He says, "Once in a long while, a fool comes along having set his sights on something, won't quit fighting till he dies. Whether he wins or loses this fight, I admire a man like that. Even a man bristling with powerful weapons can be skewered by a spear of blind grit. In the life and death struggles of a pirate, he who hesitates is buzzard food. I'll say this for that kid, there's no give in him. In the end, it's not about weapons. Grit counts more than steel." While Zeph here is obviously talking about Luffy, I believe he was also telling this to Sanji for a reason. Even at the young age of 9, Sanji stood up against his attackers, was badly beaten but kept fighting, announces his dream to all. And even after he was beaten so bad he couldn't move, he yelled out that he would not die today. Sanji is the passionate dreamer of the Straw Hat Pirates. He will always do what he believes in, no matter the cost. He will always step up to protect the people he cares about, and he will never back down from someone challenging his dreams. But above all, he's absolutely fearless. Thus, I believe that Vinsmoke's Sanji is a conqueror. My name is Hunt. Actually, it's my middle name, and thank you for watching.